Hey everybody, and welcome to OND DND, the TTRPG talk show, where the three of us, obvious experts, try to help you with your TTRPG games. How to play better, roll better, do better, be better, and get better pizza. I am Forever DM, Forever DM, and most respectful at the table, Hunter.
Try not to start any fights at the table this week, Joey.
What are you?
Restraining myself, Carter.
I see. And today...
Oh, I'm sorry I interrupted you. That was bad table etiquette.
Today, we are talking about respectful role-playing, keeping the game fun for everyone. This may be a touchy topic for some, but hopefully you can stick around, and hopefully the three of us will be able to stick it out and not argue. But how about we first start this by saying role-playing is a cooperative experience. Everyone at the table should feel comfortable. How many times have we said that?
You've made a whole, I think it's on a t-shirt now.
Potentially, yeah. So let's just sort of get right into some stuff about respectful role-playing. First of all, what respectful role-playing means to you in a short summary.
If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all.
Wow, very old man of you. He took yours, so... What's your summary? What does respectful roleplay mean to you?
Everybody's the main character, even though it doesn't feel like it sometimes. You just gotta push that down. I feel like respectful role playing is being able to give other people the moments that they're doing.
Is someone scratching something? Gosh, damn it! I can hear it. See, Carter, respectful roleplay. Gosh, oh my goodness. Well, so these guys have said their summary of respectful roleplay. I believe respectful roleplaying is a little bit of what Carter said, which is essentially give people what their space. But I also think it's really about how you would meet and greet somebody in the real world, how you would professionally speak to somebody, bringing that to the table and realizing that you're not the one who always needs to talk. You're not the one who needs to be the spotlight. Everybody does. Everybody needs their chance, and to be respectful is to want to listen to what they say and not to interrupt. Interrupting is probably a big thing, but also another big thing is paying attention and not being on your phone. Please cut to him at that moment. But anyway, so we all have sort of our stuff about respectful roleplay. So how do we create a respectful play area, a respectful table? How do we create those boundaries or find out people's comfort levels? Where would that happen? What are some tips as to how we start that kind of thing in creating? And not even if it's at the beginning of a campaign, but let's say you're experiencing troubles now. What should people do to create a more respectful table?
DMs, rule your table with an iron fist. And if somebody gets out of line, shoot them.
Wow, with a Nerf gun or
in Minecraft.
Oh. Invite everybody to the Minecraft server and then just go up to them, bang, and be like, all right, you know why.
It's fun using internet lingo with Hunter because he doesn't know it.
No, I'm really bad at it.
I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like DMs are more of an arbiter and less of I feel like DMs are just another player. And then also,
DM can be disrespectful to his players.
I know, yeah, that's what I was sort of wanting to bring
Hunter
up.
is us all the time.
So ignoring that, I will say the whole DM thing. I have heard horror stories of people who have talked about being like, "Oh yeah, I used to play in a game, but my DM was only interested in the girl he liked at the table, or was only interested in defeating us or whatever it was." It's always.
I feel like it can be more innocent than that as well. It might not. I feel like most D&D groups hold the DM as untouchable, but also sometimes it's okay to be like, hey, I wanted a moment here, and you sort of just rush past it, and it felt like I couldn't role play, And I feel like just having open conversations collaboratively within a group is hard, but just try to be intentionally like about that and open communication between all of the players, not just the player characters.
Communication. We have to get that as a graphic. Joy, what else? Anything else?
Yeah, I think the big thing is like talking to the people in your group to know what session 0.
Yeah, session 0. Yep.
Setting up your lines and veils.
Your lines and veils. We have talked about that before in one of our romance topics. But yeah, lines and veils can be a good thing for setting up not just about romance and your comfortability with people hitting on each other, but the comfortability or what people hope to expect as being a player. Some
maybe you don't want any eye stuff, and one of the guys at the table just loves going full Fulci on people's eyes, and
then you gotta
that's not your thing, and then you're upset.
Gotta come to an understanding. Yeah. Or telling everybody what your play style is. Are you more of a combat person? Are you more of a shopping episode person? Are you more of a talking person, a story person? Whatever it is, coming to an agreement in the beginning, or at least just letting everybody know what your play style is. Because a campaign doesn't need to stay one play style. The whole point of a campaign is having multiple different play styles to tell multiple different stories, but everybody knowing what people enjoy most so that everybody can get the most fun out of it. So a big thing is being mindful to each other. That seems like the big thing we've come up with. You sort of mentioned something, what people call check-ins. So doing like either after game check-ins every session or after every couple of sessions, seeing how people are doing, making sure that everybody stays honest, that kind of stuff. So we kind of have talked about that stuff before, and we've went over it a little bit more here. Let's talk about the actions in game you can take. So let's talk about balancing character actions and player experiences. So the first thing we're going to touch on is a big one that a lot of people tend to talk about or argue about or have whatever about. And that is, it's what my character would do versus being a good teammate. This a lot of times.
I feel like
it's an excuse.
I think it's a razor's edge.
Yeah, it's.
I feel like
so
there
many
is
times
things
people are like, "This is my excuse to be a jackass."
Okay.
I feel like it's more complicated than that because one, like, maybe it is really what the character would do, but also like the other players don't know all of the things going into some of those decisions as well. Like there might be a whole thing with the DM behind that.
The thing is, like, if
know.
you've built your character up though and played it a certain way, then there should never come an opportunity where you have to sit at the table and be like, "Well, it's what my character would do," because the other players should be feeling that expectation based on how you've set the character up.
Okay.
I feel like that's not always true, but
okay. Well, I think there is, with my opinion, would be that both of your sides have some weight. It does feel like a lot of times, and a lot of people everywhere will have this same opinion where it's the person does something or someone does something, and it always seems like their excuse for doing what they did is, well, it's what my character would do. And I think Joey's argument of, well, if it was, then we wouldn't be... Like there should already have been an established point of that. Now, what I will say is that with what Carter's saying, I think it does make sense to say it's what my character would do when we're very early on in the campaign. Like if you're like, I don't know, maybe 5-10 sessions in, it makes sense because you are trying to establish this is what my character does or this is what they would do. But hopefully too in your session 0, you're talking about what your character would be and how they act as well. So that's another way to get ahead of something like that. So then, yeah, there is it's what my character would do sort of thing where is it an excuse? Is it actually okay? There's a lot of different stuff to that. Now, the whole point about this too was also the versus being a good teammate. So by saying being a good teammate, I want your opinions on whether or not that's just saying, are you supposed to throw away what your character is like in order to do the thing that everybody's doing? Or does that mean character development for learning and begrudgingly is your character doing that thing? What does that mean to you guys? The being a good teammate versus what your character would do.
I feel like for your character, you have to draw that line of like, you are building this relationship with the other people in the party, right? And you, as anybody in any kind of relationship, is you have to make compromises for people that you care about, right? Even if it goes against like something that might be what your character would usually do. And I think that those moments are often overlooked with players, where it's just like, yeah, this isn't actually what my character would want to do, but I care about all these people. I don't have to be the one that makes the final decision all the time, and just roll with it.
Okay. Joey?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's character growth, right? So, and ultimately, there.
No, not help. It's bothering me. Keep talking. It's not moving. It's gonna bother me forever now.
What is wrong with it?
Your rubber is sticking out like a little penis.
It's just gonna have to live like that.
Yeah. Good to
Yeah, you're working towards a team. It's collaborative storytelling, so you have to be able to collaborate, and you have to understand that when you make a character, no matter what their personality is or what their traits are, at some point they're going to have to bend those in order to collaborate as part of the team and storytell. Now you can have your own motivations, your own goals that you're working towards, but if those ultimately hurting your team is going to hurt you hitting those goals.
All right. Well said by both of you. So now this thing that we just talked about, it's what my character would do. A lot of times, not just that, but a lot of these problems that we have with respectful roleplay at the table leads to PvP and conflict between players. How should people handle in-character disagreements without causing real-life tension?
Boy, he's really targeting us with this one.
I bear
targeting.
me and Joey get into it in D&D sometimes, and I don't know. I don't ever bear.
I think everybody does. I think everybody at every table does.
Me and Joey get heated in games sometimes, and it's okay. I don't
I feel
begrudge.
like you get heated with Toby maybe a little more, but
You and Toby have been.
I don't.
At
But
each
me and
other's
Toby are
throats.
always we're joking while we're doing it. Like in game, it's sort of like a person to person joke. We're gonna do it no matter what. But out of game, we're totally fine.
Okay.
Like we sort of build our characters accidentally to hate each other in every campaign.
So are you saying that you and Joey carry it over into real life?
No, I
too
don't
often?
think that is either. But I think that I don't know. It's harder for some people to tell. Like,
Okay, well,
within the party, I feel like other people who aren't part of the argument, like, I don't know, Joey I think that sometimes it has carried over out of game, but
Okay.
for both of us. But I feel like usually we're pretty good about not doing that.
okay. Well, then you two are a perfect prime example of telling us how you handle your in-character disagreements without causing real-life tension. Obviously, we know that it has caused some, but what do you do to maybe relieve that? Or what do you do to try and not have that?
I mean, most of the time it is in service of the story we're telling or the characters we're playing. So it makes sense at the table.
Yeah.
But what about when it carries back into real life?
Doesn't
It usually just fades immediately within
Yeah.
like 10 minutes after the game.
Some people
Unless
would call
we
that
have
a
to-
build-up.
unless we have to talk it out afterwards, which we've done before.
And that's called a check-in. Bringing it back.
But it's good to have check-ins to keep people,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
accountable and stuff.
I also think that sort of brings us into another huge thing that people see as a problem at tables, and that is bringing your real life into the game. Obviously, everyone is here to play a fake game, essentially, escape reality, go to a different world where you can forget about the things that go on in your daily life. But just like everything else in the world, what happens in your real life still exists and happens, and you can bring that into when you're playing a lot. What are some tips you guys can think of to either help people not bring that in, or how to address someone who has done that?
Well, I think part of building a character, you're putting yourself into every character you build. So you're always inherently bringing some aspect of yourself into the game. And it's usually something negative because it's something you want to try to work through.
You're not wrong. D&D is therapy.
So yeah, I mean, work through it. If it starts to feel too tense towards other players, then you sit down and you have a real life breakthrough.
And that's checking in, and we're bringing it back. Carter?
I don't know. I don't think I've experienced this that much in a negative way.
Doesn't have to be negative.
He's a perfect boy with perfect characters.
No,
Perfect hair.
I don't know. I agree with Joey. Like everybody brings in part of, their character, and I think it adds to some of the characters as long.
Well,
as...
if actually, how about this? You just said that you haven't experienced it. So what do you do to make it so that you don't? What steps are you taking that makes it so that you don't do that? Don't just say, because get good, kid.
I don't know. I mean, I have a part of me in each of the characters that I play.
Okay.
So I don't know. I just try not to have my whole self into the game, because then it's hard to blur those lines. Because I don't think I would ever do a self-insert character.
No, but that's the thing. Like you don't put the character shouldn't just be a self-insert of yourself. It should have you're putting aspects in, and that's fine. But what's the point if you're just being like, I also am this in game as I am, and as in life, as in game. No point. Stupid. You're wasting your time. Tell a story. No one wants to hear your story. That's why you're playing D&D.
Dang.
No one wants to hear your story. Is crazy.
All right. This might be a tough one to go through, or maybe bigger than I'm expecting the question to be, but we're going to skip forward a little bit because we don't have much time left. But let's talk about the importance of intent versus impact. So this is when, like, you may not have intended this, or you intended this, and that did not happen, and the impact is more than what you think it to be. Even if something wasn't meant to be harmful, acknowledging when it affects someone or people.
Let's just live and let learn, and then go from there and adapt, because I feel like it's kind of hard to know. Like, what your intent is, but you honestly won't know unless you play for a long time with those characters what the impact on other people's characters or player characters would be.
Or those people.
Yeah.
What might be a joke to you, they might not think it's a joke. And then if you're offended, instead of letting it build up until you hate the person and stop showing up to the game, sit down afterwards immediately and talk about it. And you have the group there or the DM there so that you have a third-party mediator if you don't feel comfortable just doing it by yourself. But
yeah,
you should immediately address it, and then it won't build up and become a bigger problem.
Yeah, and I mean, and again, that's checking in. Another big thing to know is that do not be afraid to fade out or straight up pause. If something is making you, or you see someone else feeling uncomfortable, now don't what am I trying to say? I don't think that I know your feelings. So don't insist on people. But anyway, if you feel like you're uncomfortable, you feel like there may be some uncomfortableness, do not be afraid to pause. There is something that some DMs do, which is where they come up with, Rob did it for us. The play, pause, fast forward, reverse.
We never use
cards.
that.
Yeah, well, because we
well, it's
know
in
each
the
other really
it's in the
well,
new PHB too.
It
You throw
is.
up
It is
the banana sign.
You only have to pay $50 for all three individual books each.
They do talk about it in the player's handbook now, and I think also in the DMG, but I like it because this is something that wasn't really put forward before, and I feel like it really will help people. And that's the fact that do not be afraid to say, guys, we have to pause. I'm feeling uncomfortable, or I'm not feeling great about this. As long as it's not disruptful, do not feel scared to do it, because it's important that you're having fun. And don't think that you're not having fun is going to make other people's fun less, because they want you to have fun too. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
just because we call you a baby back bitch doesn't mean we disrespect you.
It just is factual.
Give me a single tear right here. I hate you guys. So let's talk about last thing here. And a lot of people might find this helpful. A lot of people might not find this helpful. But How do you guys believe, in your tips, it has gotten to the point where it's too far? There is a problem at the table. It has gone too far. No one has said anything. There was no roadblocks made. There was no attempt. And we are now at the boiling point of the volcano coming over. How do we handle problematic situations?
It's a game.
What to do when someone crosses the line?
I don't think we've ever gotten to that point.
I didn't say we have.
I know. I'm just trying to figure out what, I don't know.
What do you
DM
do?
conversation with that person, seeing if it's still the right table for them, I guess.
Yeah.
How does a conversation go? How
I
does a
don't know.
conversation like that go, you think?
You're the fucking DM.
Whoa.
It depends,
We all
it
have been
depends-
DMs, first of all.
It depends how you want to address it. Like if you're having a problem with the person that the person who's making the complaint has a problem with, then that's probably the problem player, and you as a DM have to be like, hey, I don't think this is the right table for you.
Okay.
But if it's just that person and they're like, oh, I feel like I'm being dogpiled on, then you have to go to that person and be like, this might not be the right table for you.
Or, I don't know. I think there's more investigation to that. Like, you can pay attention as a DM going forward after the complaint and be like, oh, yeah, they actually are getting dogpiled on, and I just wasn't aware of that because I was DMing.
This is where I'd like to introduce a new task force that I have created, the FTI, the Fantasy Table Inspectors. If you have a problem at your table, you call up FTI, and we'll be there to help you with your problem player. That'd be really funny. What if we did have people send in the stuff they're having problems with and try to address them?
Do it.
Like
We'll do shorts.
yeah.
We'll do shorts. Or
I would
something.
love that. That'd be so awesome.
Send them in.
Please
Put 'em
send
in the
us in
comments.
your problems, the things you're having, and we'll do that.
Speaking of comments, comment, like, share, and subscribe. Ring the bell.
But
Watch
anyway,
our live play on Twitch at 8 p.m. on Wednesdays, and then catch up at noon Eastern on Saturdays.
that is correct. Thank you all for joining us. Remember to send in your thoughts and stuff, and if it's good, we will feature it on a future episode. Thank you so much for joining us for OND DND, the TTRPG talk show, where we hopefully help you play better at the table and not flip it this time, Greg. I was forever DM and priest of the table, Hunter.
Got through a whole session without having a fight, Joey.
Respectful Carter.
That's it. Just respectful, Carter. Thank you. Dude, I would love it if we could do this and a die goes right at the screen.
All right, the production value on this show is getting too much.
Anyway, there we go. That's it. All right, let's go to...
May look into the logistics of a flying die. Hey there, dipshits. It's me, Joey, a.k.a. Slooty Mage.
I'm Hunter, voice of Hunter Taylor.
And I'm Carter, Eagle. We're
Older and dumber.
Every Friday, we drop wisdom, humor, and a whole lot of nonsense. You won't want to miss it.
Become a patron today for as low as $5 a month. Get early access to all our episodes and exclusive behind-the-scenes looks at all the things we're doing and May's super secret editing notes.
Shout out to all our awesome dipshits. Your support really helps keep this madness going.
Join the crew, be a dipshit. It's an exclusive club and you're invited.
Go Dipshits mark your calendar every Friday for a dose of older and dumber craziness. See you there.
Fade to black! On my stand! Fade to black!